Thank you all for coming out and to support the candidates of your choice. My name is Bishop Chris Stokes, and I am the Executive Director of the Willie Mae Stokes Community Center here in Micanopy.
We just dropped a jobs plan last night on our website, which kind of goes through everything that we're really wanting to do in our first 2 years. We want to start high-speed rail here in Florida. We want to start getting broadband internet into out of all of the counties, all of the districts, all of the rural areas. We want to start setting up small business incubators in places like Union County and Bradford. We want to fight the phosphate mining that's going on in Union and Bradford, fight Nestle, make sure that they don't wipe out High Springs, and be able to actually start up small and family-owned farms again, especially in Union and Bradford counties, and especially towards Clay County. And so really what we're focusing on, like I said earlier, is just making sure that essentially if you are working, you're able to afford a home, you're able to afford a family, and you're able to have money left over.
I am Sean Hayes Henson, and I recently ran for Florida House of Representatives District 20, and I won during the primary, which was a wonderful thing. It gives me time to contemplate what I'm going to do when I get to the Capitol.
You guys are out here standing on the side of the road waving your Biden flags. How's the response been so far?
I think
Very good, very positive.
Yeah.
More positive than negative.
And more of the people who aren't going to vote the way we're going to vote were nice about it. A few of them are not, and as we
expected.
Yes, we expected, and they go low, we go high.
And I've seen firsthand the challenges that people have just making ends meet and trying to take care of their families. And in almost every instance of the work that I've done, it always comes back to policy. And so much of those policies are decided at the local level. And the county, it runs everything from how we decide on our roads and growth and development to protect our environment, to health services through the health department, and education through our libraries. So it felt like the right fit for me if I was going to throw my hat in the ring and actually start working on policy.
We live in Stone Creek in Ocala, and we just moved here about a year ago from California. And I have always voted all my life, but I've never volunteered to help out. But with everything that's going on today, I felt the need to step up and do something. So the things that are really bothering me are the violence that's happening, the white supremacists, the law enforcement problem that we have in this country, the fact that our democracy is under attack, just so many things, the division, the divisiveness, and I just think that we're on a bad path, and I just wanted to do everything I can to help with it.
Well, frankly, Marion County is moving. It is on the up and up, thanks to people like Marianne Lambert, who has joined, and Lavonda, who is the current chair, and Rick Perry. I don't know if you know him, but I met him last go round, and so he has moved out into other activities. And Francine G, I met all these people through the Democratic Party, but they have moved out, stretched themselves to increase their impact on the political movement that we so want to see changes in our nation.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you giving me the time. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, let's go blue.
I hear that.
Our springs are in peril. They're in peril for a lot of reasons. Number one is the quality of our springs. That water is very, very clear and very fresh, right? And so any amount of nutrients and pollution that goes into that really makes a huge impact. So we need to be protecting our springs from that pollution, thinking about the ways that we can reduce nitrate and phosphorus pollution from things like mining interests and fertilizer and all the things that are flowing into our springs. The other thing is quantity. We're seeing threats from bottling companies that want to come in and take the water that we have as our right here in our county and bottle it and sell it to people far flung from here. And so we need to stand up to those companies and make sure that private interests aren't taking our public water.
I'm sure they just realized this guy, Adam Christenson, actually has a chance as a Democrat to take this district in Congress. And this district is so heavily gerrymandered that I thought it was an impossibility. But he's convinced me it's a possibility. So that's why I'm out holding his sign here.
What's the most radical thing that I've said? That what, if you're working 8 hours a day, you should be able to own a home? Like, I'm sorry, but that's not radical. These things are not radical.
Great internet access. Yeah.
Good internet, having fast trains, like having good internet, like being able to start your own company, not have to move somewhere else, so you can actually do it in your own hometown, and like getting money flowing back in instead of out, and like stopping companies who don't deserve to be in your community, that actually hurt your community, and getting rid of them. Because if they don't help us, they shouldn't be here. If they don't care about us and that money doesn't stay here, they shouldn't be here. That's the way I think about it.
One of the things that I really like about your platform is that you're a progressive, but your progressive ideas mend beautifully with solid business ideas, like bringing business to this county, bringing it to this area. Rather.
What's crazy is most people consider like conservatives to be the business people, right?
Yeah.
Or at least, like classically, that's what you would expect. Like, what I've kind of found is that progressive economics and classical conservative economics are almost the exact same. You fight against monopolies. You stop big foreign companies from coming in and destroying and taking your stuff. You don't let people steal from you. You focus on small businesses. You focus on family farms. You focus on the fundamentals and the basics, and you build up from them. You understand that when you build a society from the ground up, not the top down, everything works, and it works better, and it can actually hold through storms and pandemics and all the bad things that happen in a much more sustainable and effective way. And if you build businesses the correct way, instead of just taking on as much money as you possibly can, inflating your value, and then trying to sell it before it collapses, which is the model right now, you can actually have a sustainable world. And so classical conservatism and progressivism now, they've swapped. And that is really what's crazy is we're not fighting for anything crazy. We're literally fighting for the way that things could be and should be and make sense. So to me, these things are not radical. They're moderate at best. They almost skew kind of conservative economically anyway.
I was in the Army. I was in the 173rd Airborne. I did 3 tours in Vietnam, and I'm a highly decorated veteran, and I'm just proud to have been able to serve my country. I retired after over 20 years in the military, and so I know really, I've seen combat, I know what it's all about, and I know what freedom is all about. In fact, I fought for it, and so now I don't want to see it taken away, by somebody who's anti-American.
And he is not a sucker, and he is not a loser.
Amen to that.
All right, all right.
We are so excited that there's so much support for Biden. They announced it on Facebook that they were having a rally today, and we just had to be part of this to show people, and we're very surprised at how many people are honking driving by. It's
very encouraging.
There are a lot, aren't there?
Yeah.
There is, more than I thought.
Yeah, more than I expected too. I mean, it's just honk, 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 honk. I haven't heard anybody curse or anything like that yet,
Surprising a
Oh,
little
you have?
bit.
Yeah. Well, maybe a few.
Yeah, minority.
We are, way out in the country, so.
Yeah, that's the truth.
But this is very different from the landscape 4 years ago. There was not this kind of support for the Democrats and for Biden this time. To see all these people here and all these people that are pulling over after driving by and seeing us here is really a great thing.
Well, I would just say that in addition to natural resources and the environment, to me, local economy is really important. I want to make sure that we're supporting our local businesses, and with COVID, it's more important than ever that we make sure that our locally owned businesses, the small businesses like the one right behind me, Blue Highway, are protected and that they have the support that they need to stay afloat in this time. And I would also say that mental health is another thing that I didn't mention that's really important to me, and thinking about the way in which we provide support for mental health and make sure that we're not criminalizing people who are struggling with mental health.
We don't really think Trump is a Republican necessarily. We think he's his own entity, his own most dangerous entity. And that's a primary motivator. I would be voting for the Democrats no matter what, but I don't know that I would be here if it weren't for Trump. Be here right this minute.
One of the things is I don't like the way people are being called names. I don't like the way it's not America. I mean, we've always worked together, whether we agreed or not. We've always discussed it and all been Americans. And I wanted to go back where we're all Americans.
That's very good. That's a great point.
Divisiveness.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an independent. And I just think this is really important. I think everybody has the right to vote the way they want, but I don't like, having been a teacher, I mean, would you want anybody with children in the family, would you want the children to follow what our president says and does? Is that the way we want our children to grow up and think that's the way they should behave? No.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a sixth generation Floridian. I've got 4 generations of my family living in Alachua County, and I was born in Gainesville, Alachua General Hospital. We can't keep giving away the resources that belong to all of us to a few people for their own profit. So whether that is allowing a water bottling company like Nestle to come in and bottle water, or whether it's allowing big agricultural producers to not manage their waste and their fertilizer and their water use. All of those things are us allowing a few people to make money off of our resources, our future, and we need to figure out how to fix that. The agricultural thing is tough because that's protected at a state level. But we can do things by protecting local farms and putting local farms into conservation easements, for instance.
And keeping farmland in,
like not just restrict conservation easements to environmental lands, but to add traditional farming, regenerative farming into that conservation equation.
And how would you do it? Would you give them tax breaks so that these things go into
exactly.
those easements?
Same as you would for putting land into an environmental easement. You can do the same thing with agricultural easements. Yeah.
We're trying to save our democracy. We're trying to encourage people to vote blue up and down the ballot. And we think it's so important. We'll be out here all day, all night if we need to, every day until the election. And we've gotten huge response from the cars driving by, people waving, and that encourages us, and we hope it encourages them. There are people who live out in Trump country, and everyone around them is a Trump supporter, and so they assume that he's going to win. And seeing us out here just might let them know that, hey, there are more people in the community that think like me, and there are more people that care the way I care, and will vote blue up and down that ballot. Save this country. You hear him?
I say ditto to everything she said. I would vote for a potato before I would vote for Trump.